It was my first time visiting this area, and I had no idea about their customs and traditions. However, one thing that deeply impressed me was the sincerity of the people here. They were incredibly genuine and extraordinarily hospitable. Since yesterday, they had treated me with such care and generosity that I felt embarrassed by their kindness. I had planned to leave after 2 days, but they were adamant about me staying longer. They told me that a wedding was about to start in a day, lasting 4 days, and after that, they would send me off with gifts as a gesture of their appreciation. I wasn't interested in their gifts. My heart held no such greed. However, their persistent insistence that I attend the wedding made it difficult for me to refuse. Considering how much they had cared for me, I finally agreed to stay. Little did I know that attending their wedding would open the door to the stark realities of their customs. The bride-to-be, a young woman named Gul Peri, took me around the village, showing me its beauty. The village was breathtakingly picturesque, and it filled me with immense joy. We wandered around until evening, enjoying fresh fruits and sipping water from a sweet, pristine lake. Being here felt refreshing and wonderful. By the time we returned home, Gul Peri's mother began scolding her. "The time for the ritual is near, and you've been wandering off," she chided. "You know this ritual must be done for an entire week. If you neglect it, you'll regret it later, and our family's honor will be at stake." I was puzzled by her words. What sort of ritual could be so significant that not performing it would disgrace the family? I decided to stay silent, knowing it wasn't my place as a guest to ask too many questions. Gul Peri's mother took her inside, scolding her all the while, and shut the door. Moments later, I noticed an older woman discreetly carrying something in her hand as she entered the room. Once inside, she ushered everyone else out and locked the door from within. Curiosity gnawed at me. What kind of ritual required a solitary elderly woman to perform it in private? My mind swirled with questions, but I kept them to myself. The house was bustling with wedding preparations, filled with energy and activity. Despite the amount of work, no one seemed tired. Everyone wore bright smiles and seemed genuinely happy. Nearby, a group of girls sat chatting in hushed tones, giggling as they whispered among themselves. I overheard snippets of their conversation. "Do you know," one of them said, "that Gul Peri's husband-to-be is incredibly well-built? His body is as strong as iron, and he's so tall. He looks like such a powerful young man." Another chimed in, "I wonder how Gul Peri will manage him." Hearing such talk from unmarried girls made my cheeks burn with embarrassment. In our home, discussing such matters was considered highly inappropriate, especially before marriage. Yet here they were, openly commenting on these things without a hint of shame. I turned my face away, pretending I hadn't heard them. Another girl added with a laugh, "It's a good thing, though. Her husband is young and healthy. She'll have a happy life with him." This area was underdeveloped, with a sparse population. There were no schools or colleges to speak of. The people here were simple and uneducated, living by their own set of rules. I chose not to react to their conversation, but my curiosity about the ongoing rituals deepened. What would I discover during my stay here? And what about the first night? One of the girls whispered, her voice low but daring. "To bear the pain, our ancestors have already found a cure. The only problem is Gul Peri's laziness. She isn't properly performing the ritual. On her wedding night, she'll be crying in pain." Hearing such bold conversations left me stunned, but it also ignited a burning curiosity within me. I was eager to learn more about this mysterious ritual. At 24 years old, I was fully aware of the dynamics of a relationship between a man and a woman. I understood that the first time a woman shares intimacy with her husband, she experiences pain. But how could there be a ritual that supposedly eliminates that pain altogether? It seemed impossible, and these thoughts tangled my mind. The wedding was set to begin the next day and would last 4 days. On the 5th day, Gul Peri would be sent off with her husband. Another thing that puzzled me was that I hadn't seen anyone in this village praying or performing any religious duties. Not a single person. I began to suspect that they weren't Muslims, and my suspicions turned out to be correct. These people didn't follow any religion at all. This entire region was under the control of local chiefs who governed its systems. They decided what was best for the area, setting the rules and traditions. The villagers followed their commands blindly, treating them as law. No one dared to defy their authority, whether their orders were right or wrong. Even the bizarre customs that seemed incomprehensible to me were observed with full willingness and devotion. If anyone refused to participate in these rituals, they faced severe punishment, decided by the chiefs themselves. I found this system unsettling and unjust, but I didn't want to complicate my stay by speaking against their traditions. So I stayed silent. As I learned more about the customs of these people, my astonishment grew. I couldn't understand why they practiced such peculiar rituals. Throughout the day, various pastes and masks were applied to the bride's skin, claiming they would enhance her complexion and make her look stunning. The idea of a bride needing to look beautiful was something I was familiar with from my own culture as well. Women in my community also believed in grooming themselves before marriage, using beauty products to enhance their appearance. But one thing stood out to me as particularly strange. Every evening, at dusk, a 60-year-old woman would arrive and take Gul Peri into a room. She would shut the door behind her, leaving no one else inside. Gul Peri's face would fall as soon as she saw the woman, as if she wanted to refuse but lacked the courage to do so. I was consumed with curiosity. What kind of ritual required such secrecy, a closed door, and the presence of just one elderly woman? One day, I saw an opportunity to uncover the truth. Quietly, I went to the room's back window, which opened into the secluded backyard where no one usually went. That space was primarily used for singing and dancing programs during weddings. I carefully pulled back the curtain to peek inside. As soon as evening fell and the elderly woman took Gul Peri into the room, I quietly made my way to the backyard. My curiosity had reached its peak. I had to see for myself the truth behind their ritual. Walking cautiously, I approached the window that overlooked the room. After waiting for 10 to 15 minutes, I carefully moved the curtain aside. What I saw left me utterly shaken. My legs felt weak, as though the ground beneath me had disappeared. It all made sense now. Why Gul Peri dreaded this ritual, why her face always turned pale at the mere mention of it. Her expression clearly showed that she didn't want to participate, but she was forced into it. And now, the horrific reality of this so-called ritual was in front of me. Under the guise of tradition, something vile and grotesque was being carried out. It was a violation, not a ritual. The people here needed to be made aware of the wrongness of this act. But as a guest, I couldn't say anything. I had no authority in this place, no right to challenge their customs. All I could do was silently witness their rituals. My heart ached for Gul Peri. I felt a deep sympathy for her, knowing the pain she was enduring while everyone else seemed complicit in forcing her into it. Even her own mother, who should have protected her, dragged her into the ritual and rebuked her with stern looks if she tried to resist. The next 4 days passed amidst various other customs. On the 5th day, Gul Peri's face looked radiant, as though she had finally escaped a terrible ordeal. Her beauty shone, and she appeared relieved. But my mind was haunted by the scene I had witnessed. The elderly woman stripping Gul Peri and violating her under the pretense of ritual. I had traveled to Mardin with my university group as part of a trip. One day, as we wandered around, we arrived at the edge of a lake. This lake was famous for its mystery. People believed that anyone who ventured here would lose their way. For safety, we were advised to stay in groups. While walking with my group, my eyes caught sight of some stunning flowers. They were so mesmerizing that I forgot everything and rushed toward them. These flowers were blooming on uneven mounds, swaying gracefully, their beauty enchanting me. Lost in their charm, I didn't realize how much time had passed. It was only when I felt hunger pangs that I turned back, intending to rejoin my group. But as I looked around, my heart sank. I couldn't find my way back. I had lost my group and was now utterly alone. I called out loudly, hoping someone would hear me, but there was no response. I wandered aimlessly, trying to find my way, but every direction looked the same. It felt like I was chasing a mirage, drawn to these flowers that had now become a cruel trap. As evening turned into night, fear took over. The beauty of the flowers no longer mattered. They no longer drew my attention. My fear of being lost overpowered every other emotion. The once charming landscape now appeared hostile and unwelcoming. I was exhausted from running in circles, unable to find a way out. Every path seemed identical, and no matter which direction I went, I ended up in the same place. Alone in the growing darkness, I climbed a high mound, hoping to signal for help. I waved my scarf in the air, praying someone would notice me. The shadows of night crept across the land, enveloping everything in darkness. The chilling thought of spending the night here alone made my soul shudder. The possibility of being trapped here terrified me to my core. I began calling for help even louder, waving my scarf desperately in the air. But no one heard my cries, and no one came to my rescue. Fear and hunger overwhelmed me, and I collapsed to the ground. After that, I lost all consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on a comfortable bed. As the memories of the previous events flooded back, I let out a scream. Just then, the door opened, and a beautiful woman entered. She wore a long tunic and a scarf wrapped around her head, with a cap on top. Her attire was unfamiliar to me, making me feel even more unsettled, as if I had been taken captive. The woman noticed my worried expression and, in broken Urdu, tried to reassure me. She told me there was no need to be afraid and that I could give her my address, and they would safely return me to my home. She explained that they had found me early in the morning near a sand dune, half buried in the sand, with only my scarf and face visible. After rescuing me from the night's horrors, they provided first aid and brought me to their village, which was several kilometers away from the Valley of Flowers. I told her that I had come to the area with my university trip, but had gotten separated from my friends while admiring the flowers. The woman smiled and said, "Yes, those flowers are so mesmerizing that they trap anyone who gazes at them. Visitors are usually warned about their allure and told not to wander toward them. Didn't anyone warn you?" I shook my head in denial. The woman patted my head gently and reassured me, "Don't worry. We'll get you home safely. But first, you need to freshen up and eat something. You've been unconscious for 2 days." Her words shocked me. 2 days? I thought, my anxiety mounting. How much must my university group and family have searched for me? Where could they think I am? I told the woman I needed a mobile phone to contact my family, but she looked at me in surprise. "We don't have mobile phones here," she said. "But the village chief has a telephone at his house, which he uses to communicate with people in the city and manage the sale of grains and other goods. If you know how to use it, you can call your family." I immediately stood up and asked her to take me to the chief's house. "I won't be at peace until I inform my family," I said. But as I tried to move, a wave of dizziness struck me. The woman smiled kindly and said, "You're very weak. You haven't eaten or drunk anything for 2 days. Eat something first, and then I'll take you to the chief's house. My child, you don't need to be afraid. You are like a daughter to us, and we won't let any harm come to you." Her words moved me, and I hugged her tightly. At that moment, I needed kindness and reassurance, and she kept repeating her promise to return me home safely, perhaps to give me hope. I washed my face and forced myself to eat a few bites of food, then accompanied her to the village chief's house. The chief was an elderly man. When he saw me, he turned to the woman and asked in broken Urdu, "Is this the girl you found near the sand dunes?" Perhaps their native language was different, but they communicated in broken Urdu to ensure I understood. The woman nodded in agreement and said, "She wants to use the telephone to inform her family." The village chief pointed toward a room and said, "The telephone is in there. Go ahead and call your family." I immediately went into the room and dialed my home number. My father answered, and I could hear the weakness in his voice. It seemed he wasn't well. Tears welled up in my eyes as I said, "Abu, it's Nafisa. I'm safe and fine. I got lost, but the people from a nearby village helped me. I was unconscious for 2 days, but I've just regained consciousness. I came here immediately to call you." My father thanked God and spoke briefly with the village chief before ending the call. He was relieved. Abu explained that the university staff had searched for me for 2 days. When they couldn't find me,